Israeli police forcibly entered the United Nations agency compound for Palestinian refugees in East Jerusalem on Monday, escalating an already tense standoff between Israel and the organization. The raid is the latest move in Israel's broader campaign against the UN Relief and Works Agency, or UNRWA, which Israel has banned from operating on its territory. Police say the operation was carried out as part of a debt collection procedure, though UN officials have not yet publicly responded to that explanation.
We know UNRWA has been a stain on the United Nations, and it was established back in the day to actually only operate for 18 months. It's now existed for more than 75 years. And instead of solving a temporary issue, it's perpetuated the problem. And now the growing number of refugee status of Palestinians is extremely high. Remember, the number of Palestinian refugees went from 700,000 in 1950 to 5.5 million people today. UNRWA has proven its enormous failures, and it's time for it to be dismantled, and it's time for the world to recognize that, including journalists as well. UNRWA continues to claim there's also not enough humanitarian aid going inside of the Gaza Strip. If you look at the facts, there are hundreds of trucks entering Gaza on a daily basis. There are thousands of trucks entering Gaza on a weekly basis. The aid is entering Gaza freely and without the help from UN agencies that terrorists have embedded themselves into. Like I said, these trucks are entering weekly, daily. However, organizations without terror operatives have stepped up and have actually helped overtaken UNRWA's operations and are sending in thousands of trucks in coordination with Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu has made it clear that UNRWA is not part of the solution. They are part of the problem. There is a direct connection between UNRWA and Hamas inside of the Gaza Strip, with nearly every terrorist that crossed into Israeli territory to commit genocidal acts against our people on October 7th were in fact an UNRWA school graduate. Listen to what I just said. Nearly every single terrorist that crossed the border on October 7th was an UNRWA school graduate.
I'm now joined by Dr. Adi Schwartz, an academic specializing in Arab affairs, for more on the raid. Dr. Schwartz, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the spokesperson for Israel's prime minister referenced the number of Palestinian refugees. How did the total figure get to more than 5.5 million?
So UNRWA is unique and very different from the United Nations, other major agency for refugees all around the world in its definition. So there's a special definition for Palestinian refugees and for all other refugees around the world. One such difference is that the status of refugees, of Palestinian refugees, goes directly from father to son and to his son. Until now, we have already 4 and 5 generations of refugees automatically. There are no cessation clauses, whereas under UNHCR, for example, refugees cease to be refugees once they obtain a new citizenship. Not in the case of the Palestinians. So, for example, 2.5 million Palestinian refugees who reside in the Kingdom of Jordan and have been naturalized, they have citizenship of Jordan, they are still considered to be refugees. So there's a long list of differences which makes UNRWA actually the perpetuator of the problem instead of the one giving the solutions.
Now, I want to talk about the issue of aid. What is the evidence that UNRWA is actually linked to the stealing of aid?
So the thing is this, UNRWA is embedded in the Palestinian society. We know that it is one of the largest operator and have tens of thousands of people working for them. We have seen in the Gaza Strip during the war, we have seen schools, clinics, kindergartens of UNRWA in them, underneath them, et cetera, We've seen caches of ammunition. And we even saw on tape members of UNRWA who participated in the events in the massacre of 7th of October. There's a soldier, an Israeli soldier, Jonathan Semerano, who was kidnapped by UNRWA members. So there's a lot of evidence, and it's not surprising because they are all they're all part of the same society, the Palestinian society in Gaza, whose ideology basically says the same. And you can't differentiate between Hamas and UNRWA in this case and the entire Palestinian society. in their rejection of the existence of a Jewish state. So it's not a surprise to find that all those people, as the spokesperson explained, these are people, pupils, you could say, that learned and studied in UNRWA schools, and probably by UNRWA teachers who themselves participated in October 7th. So it's an entire ecosystem. It's an entire problem of the whole society.
Now, the spokesperson also called for the dismantling of UNRWA. What would that mean? What would that look like? And would another organization or group take the place and take the role of what UNRWA is supposed to be doing?
No, there should be no replacement for UNRWA, because if you are really serious about not committing another October 7th, then we have to put an end to this senseless, unrecognizable proposition that refugees can go on being refugees for 80 years. There should be no replacement for UNRWA. And it's very simple. The Kingdom of Jordan, for example, should take care of its citizens, just like Canada does, just like Israel does, just like any other country on earth. And the same goes for the Palestinian Authority in Nablus or in Jenin. I mean, why should there be schools, two parallel systems of schools? If you go to Jenin, for example, the city of Jenin, under the PA, under the Palestinian Authority, you have schools of the PA, and then you have schools of UNRWA. Why is that? It's very simple. You should abolish them. You should close them. I mean, you don't have to close the schools. You can stay with the same pupils, same teachers, same schools, but simply not under UNRWA, under PA. So UNRWA should be closed down, and there should be no replacement. It should be very easy. You must understand, UNRWA is a political statement. It's not actually about the services for the society. I mean, that is the explanation they're giving to the donors in the West. We have to give services for the impoverished population, etc. But this is not true. UNRWA, and every Palestinian will tell you, stands for the right of return, meaning that millions of those refugees should have a legal right to resettle inside the state of Israel, actually turning it into an Arab state. So the question of UNRWA is not a question of services, but a political question, still a testament and a statement, actually, of saying we will not recognize the state of Israel and we want to turn it into another Arab state.
Well, the Israeli government has said that UNRWA employees are actually members of Hamas. What do we know about that overlap?
So I think, again, there's no surprise, because if you have the population of Gaza, let's say it's 2 million, and you have tens of thousands of UNRWA workers, and you have their children who go to the UNRWA schools. And yes, during the war, there were documents that the Israeli army have found with many names of participants in UNRWA. We know that some teachers of UNRWA, for example, in Lebanon, have been open supporters and even members of Hamas. So the lab here is, it's overwhelming. It's the evidence is very clear. And again, both of them, unfortunately, while UNRWA is a United Nations organization, and Hamas, of course, is considered to be a terrorist organization by many governments around the world, they actually work together. And I will even say something more serious. By applying or by supplying health and education services, what has been happening in the last couple of years is actually that Hamas had all the time in the world to plan for October 7th. So you had someone else who actually took care of, the not so glorious issues of paying teachers' salaries and fixing pavements and, collecting garbage, etc., etc. That all of this was done by UNRWA. And then all the members of Hamas could remain in the tunnels and plan and have all the time in the world. And unfortunately, they were very successful on October 7th. So there's even some kind of a collaboration between UNRWA and Hamas, and we must put an end to it.
Well, let's switch gears now to the ceasefire that's found itself in the spotlight. I want to ask you about what comes next. What role has the UN played in phase 2 for the ceasefire, and when are we expecting to see that second phase?
So according to Trump's plan, the second phase should start after the last of the hostages, both alive and dead, were supposed to be given back to Israel. We still have one such hostage. And after that, well, the plan says that Hamas should disarm, and that I still don't know how will that happen. I mean, we see every day almost that Hamas members, Hamas very high-ranking officials say it will never happen, we will never give up our arms, etc., etc. I don't know yet who is going to do it. I don't know who has the motivation to do it other than the Israeli, the IDF, because we are the neighbors of Hamas, and if anyone is going to pay the price for their continuing to be in the Gaza Strip, is Israel. So I'm hopeful. I hope that Trump's peace plan will go further, but I have the sense that it might be Israel's job once again to take care of Hamas.
Well, Dr. Schwartz, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.